Good evening, everybody. Tonight is January 25th. It's the monthly meeting of the Permanent Building Committee and the School Building Committee. First item is we're going to let Jeff present the first item that we're going to go through.
I don't see Tape here, Jeff.
Yeah, they said they're
going to be late.
So,
yeah,
we'll take things a little out of order. So in the agenda tonight, we're going to cover the designer's work plan, which we'll wait for Tape to arrive for. We're going to give you an update on the MSBA kickoff process, and a discussion on the upcoming envisioning, and then talk about the project website we launched today. Maybe we'll just take that first, Mike, and talk about the project website. So as you know, the committee asked us to develop a project website, millischoolproject.com, and so we've drafted that, sent that around to the group today via email. So it's technically a live document, but obviously we're the only ones that know about it to date. And we're looking for feedback to see if there's any questions, concerns. Obviously, we're going to fill it out. It's a skeleton at this point. And then as we have information to post, we'll put up there. But in front of you, the screen is essentially across the top. We always have the buttons of the individual pages. And then what you're seeing here is the home screen, which has the buttons as big buttons front and center. But you'll always have that bar at the top in the middle of the gray where you can always navigate amongst the various tabs. So we broke it down by meetings, which will have your building committee meetings posted, and then any presentations we do. This is not meant to replace the town meeting postings. This is meant to have a repository for presentations that are made to this committee. So we would list the number of meetings, the date of the meeting, and then we would upload presentations. Obviously, the first couple were really just agenda-based, as you guys were just getting off and running. But as TAP-A makes design presentations, we'll have that up there as record. The next tab was the project needs. The project needs is obviously, why are we here? You know, what is the driving force behind this project? So we extracted some information from the Tetra Tech report and some previous existing studies done by CBI. We've also put links into those individual reports at the bottom there. And we can fill this out in greater detail as well, deeper into the project, as we want to highlight the things that really need to be replaced. We'll get into the work plan of the next steps with the designer and when that additional information will be available, but this is based on historical needs that we know to date that led us to where we are here. You'll note on the left side of this page, as we navigate to the other page, we have those same buttons. So there's multiple ways to get across. That's done for a few reasons. One, you know, it's convenient to have multiple ways to navigate across, but two, people also use their phones, right? And so a lot of people are really searching for information on websites from their phone. And so those buttons on the side, you know, are more user-friendly for that type of an application versus the traditional web browser that Mike is demonstrating now. Important documents is at the moment coming soon. We're going to work with the school department to set up a Google Drive dedicated to this project where we will upload various important documents, and we can categorize that into buckets like MSBA documents, you know, major milestone documents in terms of the major submissions we do, and then meeting minutes or presentations or things like that can also live and be housed here in this particular place. Cost, we have a note there that, you know, check back later this spring, essentially, and that's when you go through. The first time you see cost will be basically historical data, and that'll be the end of March will be the very first time we talk about cost with this group. And then there'll be much greater detail and cost later on in phases. Design, after the building committee has seen design updates and you cleared it, we will then post that up on the website. And so that'll be a little more stagnant where we'll have periodic postings, not the regular postings like you'll see under the meeting presentations. Schedule right now is populated with the timeline that you've agreed to date, which kind of outlines the MSBA process and you know, how you go from step one, which is preliminary design program, to the preferred schematic, and then to the schematic design, then leading to an annual town meeting in 2025. And so you can see you're able to zoom in on that as Mike's showing now. So again, user friendly, people can kind of have an understanding of when they need to check in and what's important. Two more tabs are frequently asked questions. We've just put some generic ones about, you know, why are we here? You know, what are the first steps? You know, what's the reimbursement rate? These will be a running list. And so as we get deeper into the project or as we receive questions, then we'll have that filled out in greater detail. And lastly, meet the team. has all the building committee members listed on the left side, and then the project consultants and the funding partner, the MSBA, on the right side. At the bottom there, you'll see there's the project email address we've set up, which is middlehighproject@millisschools.org. So that's a ghost account that goes to a distribution that we can dial up or down as necessary. But at the moment, it has coverage from at least one member from the design team, OPM, PBC, school committee, and school administration. So we've got a minimum of 5 people there, or will once that's fully set up, so you can get in touch with us. There's also a contact us button at the bottom. It does the same thing. And then lastly, Mike, I think we go back to the homepage. We have an option to follow us. So if people want to opt in to future distribution of information. So essentially when we're going to public forums, you know, if they want to follow along. Sorry, that one brought us back to the school website, I think.
Yeah, that, if you click on that, that
Yeah,
goes to the school's homepage.
that's
Well, it
right.
is
We
new.
can
It is
change
new.
that, or we can leave that. You know, that symbol came from the town's website, the school's website. So we weren't sure if that would be a familiar place to click and bring you back. We could certainly have that as a home run to this homepage as well. But right now we have the home button below it, so we were tagging back there. And at the bottom there is that, you know, if you choose to subscribe, you can enter your email address and submit it, and then we can add you to any future distribution list. And then the only updates we've put is just the hiring of the team and selection by the school building committee of the past consultants that are excited to get going on this phase. And lastly, we're going to talk about it as part of the work plan, but we've earmarked the 2 community forums. And if those are good tonight, we've already got them loaded on the website of the end of February 28th. We're suggesting the first one is virtual, and then again, the end of April, when we kind of wrap up that PDP phase, would be the second meeting. So with that, kind of open it up to the group. Are there any questions amongst the committee?
This is Jim McCaffrey. I have 2 things I'd like to state. First of all, I think in terms of the listing of the school building committee members, I think the chair and the vice chair should be listed on the top. I think it should be clear from the list who the voting members are. I might even put the voting members at the top of the list, because they bear a different level of responsibility. Not that everybody isn't responsible for it, but I think it's important for the public to know who's chairing the group. And it's there, but it's buried. I just don't think it, I think it should be, I've always envisioned that Rich would be in the top of the list. So that's my pitch for that.
No, those are great comments, Jim. I think we
Easy
just ran
fix.
down the MSBA's lists and put that in there, but we will rejigger that to group the voting members at the top and list the chair at the head.
Well, that's just my sense. I mean, if anybody disagrees, let them say something.
I agree with that. I think having the voting members and moving the staff members, for lack of a better word, lower on and putting even a break line between it, so it doesn't look like it's a staff driven process. Keep it the board member driven process clearly delineated.
So
We
they,
might want
either
to
make-
separate them by district, PBC, for lack of a better name, and school committee.
Since there's crossover between the voting members, some school committee members are voting members and some PBC members are voting members. I like Jim's voting members, non-voting members. And I think putting that on I think it says it on I'm trying to read it and I have the wrong glasses.
it doesn't have the voting.
No, but I mean by grouping them voting and then everybody else, but with their position and their committee.
It does currently have their standing. So, director of facilities, superintendent, high school principal, but we can certainly add and categorize if you feel it would be helpful.
It's pretty simple if you add an asterisk to the name of the person who's a voting member and then just define it below.
Yep.
I just think it's important for the community to understand a little bit of the dynamic here.
Sure.
And the other question I had was on the forums and the homepage. I guess I'm questioning the virtual forum. How is that helpful?
It's an open question to this group in terms of whatever you guys want it to be. The first forum was going to be about process. So it's kind of, meet the team, review the timeline, talk about the times to check in. And so more kind of here we are, as opposed to disseminating a dialogue. We were thinking about doing it in a webinar format where there would be a Q&A section and people could ask questions, but happy to do it in person if the committee feels that would be the best way to reach the maximum number of people. We've found that in other towns in the post-COVID world, we get a lot better attendance on the virtual. We've tried every which way, and we certainly are open to doing that in this town as well, of doing a combination. Some do in person, some virtual, or some hybrid.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely there's more attendance virtually, and sometimes significantly more, especially it's often hard for parents with young kids, to get babysitters or to, get out to in-person meetings. So doing some combination thereof and mixing them up is definitely advantageous.
Well,
We-
my
we-
question really on these things is whether or not they're information delivery or actual forum interchange. And, I would like to make sure that we have in the plan the opportunity for, actual interchange. And I certainly, we've all been on a bunch of virtual this and virtual that. Virtual is not, in my view, not particularly productive for conversation or dialogue.
No, and I think on that one, Jim, on the, like when Jeff, because we've talked about this on a previous meeting.
Right.
I think hey, here's the nuts and bolts of it, and then I agree with you 100%. I think that having people there and, they did the little, on some of them, they did they had the notepads and you could hand things out. And as we get further into the process, I agree with it. That type of feedback and buy-in and getting people excited about it is good. But at this beginning part, I think it's just,
Yeah.
Here's the nuts and bolts and like Jeff said, it's up to our committee to decide, what level of remote, what level of in-person we're going to do. So that's an easy choice to
Yep.
make.
Refresh my memory too. Do you guys do a lot of cable access for these types of meetings in your town?
We've done a couple, but not very many.
Mm.
It's not as popular as a Zoom or an in-person.
Okay. No, yeah, we'll follow your lead, whatever you guys want, and like we said, we can adapt on the fly as well. So let us know.
Well,
I
I
think
guess I didn't I wasn't involved in the early part of the last one, although I did go to some of the forums, or is it fora? I don't know which it is, but what do we do from day one to build buy-in? I guess that's not just, if just generating information now is the right way to go, as long as we know that we're going to take this step and this step and this step, then I'm okay with that. I guess I'm just reacting a little bit to there's 2 forums and we're going to give you the remote access and then see you later. See you at the town meeting. I mean,
No, Jim, it's not
So
just
there's
2.
So those are the 2 first. I think there's a whole community engagement plan that needs to get put together. We
Right.
went through the Clyde Brown project. The school committee members, which we are fully planning on doing for this project, took lead with that plan, put the presentations together with the support of OPM and
Right.
Designer, delivered those. So we are at the very beginning of this. So as Jeff said, this is like the first one would be informational only related to process. But then I actually hit send on an email back to you, Rich, probably 5 minutes before this meeting started, on what we sort of envision as some next steps around community engagement, which is a draft community engagement plan that this group would see and be able to take a look at and give feedback on, which would go from first forum through vote, which has many meetings. Hadn't even gone and thought about virtual or in person. I can tell you from the Clyde Brown, and even though the world has changed quite a bit, to have virtual options will be hugely beneficial, because we held 7 to 10 forums when we did Clyde Brown, and some of them were Wayne and Diane and I looking at each other because and we did it at all times of the day, and so we could do virtual ones all times of the day, but it just gives us a lot more flexibility. So what I had just sent back to Rich was, my hope is to like put together what school committee is, like the folks that are going to drive with support, the messaging parts out to the community, get that draft plan together with like what all of those various activities look like, inclusive of, like sign holding, trifolds. We have all of those artifacts from the Clyde Brown project, and we would follow a similar process to that. So the goal is to have that plan together like within a week for people to be able to review. And that would be the first, like what you're seeing on the screen is like the first two. So like I haven't talked to anybody about this really except for my note to Rich. So there's a lot coming. But I just need to get pen to paper and put that in front of everybody so that everybody can give their feedback.
Okay, I certainly am not in favor of only virtual or only in person. I understand the value of each.
Yeah.
But, I read the thing and it said, these are the things we're going to do. And I would just say in terms of the senior center project, which was not successful, the open forums for that population were very well attended. We had SRO and 4 different things. So because we have various audiences, we might have various techniques for reaching out to those audiences, which I guess I understand now.
Absolutely agree.
And part of the other thing.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Part of the other thing is, right now, until we have, TAPE has to have time to put something on pen on paper. Right now,
Right.
There's nothing to look at. So, it's hard to gain excitement for the community, and we don't have anything, and they need time to draw it, and then when we get to the point when we make our initial submission, then we'll really have something we can look at and talk about. So, but and I'd reached out to Denise earlier just because we did want to get a head start on engaging everybody. Like we've all discussed is that, we're going to have to do a big outreach on this, and we're going to have to hit all groups of people because we're going to need support from each group.
But just I wanted to also say that I did look at the website, and the folks from the vendors don't know this, but I'm sure everybody in this committee knows that I'm the most illiterate technology guy on the face of the earth. And I found the website very easy to use, easy to navigate, easy to find the stuff. So I'm very encouraged by that.
And you found
Okay,
the large,
I'll send you the check, Jim.
did you find the large font, Jim? The large font key? That you
Didn't need that.
large font?
But I'll look forward to next time.
And kudos to you guys, because I did it all on my phone on purpose. And it looks great on the phone. So
Yeah.
thank you for doing that. It looks great.
So Jeff, I've got just 2 quick things. One I think is useful. One only I care about. Could you take the third E out of my name on the project member list? And then the other thing is that we did 2 pretty big projects in Attleboro where we had public facing websites like this for the high school and the library. The high school was like a, from the ground up build, and the library was behind the walls and the roof that no one really cared about. But in both instances, we had a project photos update, and the photos that were shared with the Municipal Building Commission at the time were then posted online, and community members found that really kind of tangible and useful. Like this is where the project's at. So if we could have some sort of kind of project status, I know it's not going to be, shiny new building going up from the ground, but even to just say, here's what it looks like now, I found that useful for community members.
That's easily added, as we get further on in the and hopefully move beyond the design phase into construction. Those can be regular updates both on budget, cost, schedule, and just pictures. Yeah, definitely.
Great.
Awesome. Thanks.
So I have a comment to make, guys, and that is we should, my opinion, put out via the Millis emailing that at least this site exists as step 1 in communication. Nothing there, but we at least tell people here's where you can go to start getting information, updates, or follow the progress. So my opinion.
What email lists or blasts do you have at your disposal?
The town's got one, so.
Okay.
And the schools
school does.
have one.
Yeah. The
I don't
library
get the
has
school
one.
one, so.
I'd
The
be
library's
careful.
got one too? Boy, I'm really out of it.
I'd be
Just
careful putting up
Bob,
anything have some content on it, though. I mean, you don't want people, their first
Yeah.
visit, coming soon, coming soon, coming soon. So I don't know what timing you're talking about. Because we've got something. Yeah, get it
Well,
out.
The
I
site
agree with Greg.
exists. My point is, the site exists. We've made zero communication to the public. We can take step one and say, there's a site. Nothing there, but follow along.
Yeah, I think we'll probably wait a little bit to populate it. It only went out today, Jim.
Understood, but
And just to this
I'm not
group.
making my
so-
point, so I'll stop, so.
No,
Well,
I
my
understand.
fear is if it goes out too soon, people visit once, find nothing, and then criticize us for making a site that has nothing on it. If we
Right.
wait 1 week, we can get the list in the right order, Jeremy's name spelled right, and then put some content out there, that makes some sense.
So you bring up a good
also
point.
have, we
Why
also
can't-
have, I'm sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm sorry. You bring up a good point. Why can't we have a subscription to that project site so we get notified of
We
content
have,
changes
we have one on the site,
on that site?
on the
I
new
mean,
site.
it's not gonna tick off every time you make an update, but the subscription is to follow along for us to disseminate information every time the committee wants to push information out. The website will be a live, living, breathing thing, periodically updated probably every other week, timeframe, depending on the frequency of your meetings. And then
But
you
I'll
guys
get
approve
a
it.
notice of that?
No, we're not, I mean, I
We
don't even know
can-
how to set that up, to be honest.
Well, it wouldn't be automated, but what we could do is at significant milestones, let's say, we could, if people are subscribed, basically we assemble an email list.
Right.
And we can email that list and say, hey, the PDP has been finalized and uploaded to the website. If you'd like to review it, you can click on this link, and that email blast could go out. So
Yeah.
by asking them to subscribe, we're basically soliciting their contact information and then compiling it such that we can push stuff out. Certainly wouldn't be every little thing we do to the website, but on significant milestones, I think that could be accomplished.
Yeah, and I think that's important. So thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, it looks like we got Charlie and Chris.
Yep,
Do we
Charlie
want
and Chris
to?
have joined us. Yeah, just to conclude the website thing, the intent was that once it was ready, and we could all determine when that is, I would imagine that the school department would do a press release that, the project is off and running, or it could be through the town. Project is off and running. We've hired these consultants. Here's this website, here's the date of the first community forum, check back for more information. And, then it's really like, it's a momentous push. And that could be in the next 2 weeks, right? Essentially, give people enough time to have that notice for the meeting that's a month out.
Well, yeah, the project timeline that's on the website, which is very simple, but it's very good. Because if somebody wants to know what's going on and when it's going to happen, it's pretty well laid out there from now until town meeting in 25.
Yeah, it shows the process, the general process, without getting too much into the granular.
I mean, I really like that, to say the truth.
Can we share these Gantt charts too?
The more detailed one, like we can share whatever you want. I mean, for the public's consumption, we tend to do the more simplistic version, right?
Right.
So we'll have the 2-page Gantt chart for you guys. Right now, we tap A's work plan, 1-pager. We can certainly put those up there if you guys feel they're, desirable. But, we find that simplistic is better in these early stages.
Yeah, sorry, I should have said, should we share these Gantt
Yeah,
charts?
well,
I
no,
guess I know we can.
Yeah, and so my comment on that is that, I think we want to keep some things to high level, and, if someone's interested in it, they can go ahead and ask. It's not that we're hiding anything. We want to make sure that everyone's fully aware. I got a text earlier today to make sure that the information is shared to everybody. So I agree, we should make sure we share. The thing is, part of if you're interested and want to be involved, some of the stuff is you have to pay attention. So, we announce what's going on in our meetings. I think that knowing that the traffic study starts on 124 isn't necessarily something that we would need to share with the public. If we said, hey, we've got a traffic study going on, I think that's enough. Or if some of those steps were talked about in our meetings that are open to the public, I think, that's enough information. But we could always change that later. So, all right, but let's just jump on to Tappé to get them out of the way. If we could, Jeff.
Give them a
How
little
did you
credit, Rich.
mean that, Rich?
No, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I saw Charlie yawning, and I know it's my bedtime. So
They're here for the long haul now, but they're the ones doing all the work.
Yeah, exactly.
So welcome, Charlie and Chris. So all we've covered so far is just the project website and the dates of the community forum. Also in the email, Mike distributed, the next couple of meetings of this group as well. And so we can talk about that at the end to lock those in, but we were trying to pick the cadence of meetings and when we would have information for you from the design team as we churn through that. So we have the next 4 meetings penciled in the email from Mike. The piece that Tappé is going to talk about now is the work plan. So we included with your meeting packet the work plan, and it kind of hits on the next 3-month horizon. And if you recall, the first submission there is the preliminary design program, and so this is the road getting there. And so it's comprised of a few different elements. I don't know, Chris, do you want to describe your work plan? If not, we can certainly jump in.
Yeah. So the first section is the existing conditions review, and that's already underway. As Rich said, you had traffic
He's in the bedroom.
study.
I had to
the
put her in
traffic
a crate so
study,
you wouldn't be quiet.
Sorry.
So you can get her out if you're willing to.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Diane, you're going on mute.
Sorry.
So the traffic study already started. Actually, tomorrow we're going to be out at the building with our whole army of consultants to examine the existing conditions. And so we're starting and kicked up in that process already. That's the first section. And then the second section, which is sort of parallel to that, is the educational program development, which was part of the conversation that we came into when you guys started. But those educational visioning sessions, we're having a kickoff with the district leadership tomorrow morning as well. And then you'll start to see us scheduling the other programming sessions, visioning sessions that really will start to define where the educational program itself or the ed plan goes, that really becomes the roadmap for the building itself. And so as that is sort of percolated along a little bit and relatively quickly in time, we're going to start coming up with some preliminary concepts just to start testing out ideas and getting the temperature pulse on some things along the way. And so so that's going to start happening. That's that 1, 2, 3 sections down the sort of lighter blue there. And then, as I just mentioned, the visioning sessions, which we think are going to start somewhere in the middle of February and really take like 3-4 weeks, somewhere in there, to drive to the end. All of this sort of comes to a big head in March, where we start to submit these to. We develop cost models of the options. We developed the PDP document, and we need to hit the April 4th submission to the MSBA in order to make their cycle of board meetings and such for to sort of stay on track. So so that's sort of the lay of the land. You can see at the bottom there, we've targeted some community forums, which you guys were just talking about in some degree on the calendar. Those aren't set in stone, but I think we're going to need to start thinking about setting those in stone relatively shortly. But we do have some tasks ahead of that, which are mainly existing conditions review and sort of getting to some concepts. And I think the first one here on the community presentation will really be more of a introduction to the project team. What have we been doing so far? And then the second one's going to be, so this is what we're seeing and what we submitted to the state, and really giving people the insight on that. Those are not the visioning sessions that will have some community members involved in. So that's kind of a high level view of what we're doing there. You could expand any one of these into a whole bunch of smaller tasks, but I think for all intents and purposes, this kind of gives you the roadmap on critical activities that are going to happen over the next 2 to 3 months.
Thanks, Chris. So, as you're seeing, these things are running in parallel. Chris's team working with the existing conditions, and Chris's team working with the preliminary concepts, the school team working with the ed programming development, and then that visioning session is kind of a collaboration of the educators meeting with the design team. And so as part of that kickoff tomorrow, there's a strategy about, when do you solicit the community's wider engagement in addition to the educators. We're targeting February 15th for the first meeting with the educators. That's the teachers, directors, school administration, and school committee members to develop the vision of the project. And then they'll be sharing that information out, as they start to aggregate it. And so there'll be a series of meetings that come out of that visioning session. And tomorrow is just the strategy version of that. I do want to note that there's a change since the last time we met as a group, and that's the outcome of our kickoff meeting with the MSBA. They changed their schedule in terms of the time between submissions. So it used to only be 8 weeks that they required for the submission between the PDP and the PSR. So that's your first and second submission. They've changed that to 12 weeks. So we had a cushion in the schedule before of 10 weeks, but now we've got to bump it out 2 weeks. So that's aggressive by 2 more weeks between now and that April submission. The June submission at the end of June still maintains the same schedule. But what that does is put a little more pressure on this group here, as well as the design team, to really package that first group of decisions up and get that in by the start of April. And so more to come on that, but I do want to flag that. And that's why we really, the next 60 days are very important, because that leads us to that first submission on April 4th. And if you recall from earlier conversations about the schedule, if you miss a submission, it shifts the whole schedule up by 2 full months. So if we don't hit 12 weeks before that June 27th date, we shift to the end of August. And so that pushes the whole thing out and kind of crunches into the town meeting in the next calendar year. It's still achievable, as we talked about at the beginning of this process, but a little more squeezed.
Jeff, just one thing, and Charlie had kind of run through that before. On some of the design stuff that they're going to get, it's going to be more of a, big picture schematic. And Charlie said we'll be able to tune in the details. So if there's any concern from the group that, we're rushing, it's not, they're going to draw the big boxes, and then they're going to fill in all the, they're going to dot the I's and cross the T's later on. And it's just a little different sequencing, but it's the same process.
On the schedule and work plan and the next 65 to 70 days in front of us. All right, the rest of the MSBA update was pretty pro forma. They read through all their literature so that the district members that were present really understand the program. All that stuff is linked back to their website. We can actually include that email they sent yesterday afternoon in your next packet, and send that out to the group, which has hyperlinks to the various requirements of the process. But besides that hiccup on the schedule, there was nothing new that they presented to the group. The schedule, that's the work plan. That's in the work plan. It talked about all the existing additions, evaluations that are occurring this week and over February break. We've discussed the visioning in the website. So then that's our business for tonight for the most part, other than minutes and invoices. So I don't know if Charlie or Chris has anything else you wanted to bring up to the group before we turn it back to Rich.
Do you want to nail down the dates for the building committee that we projected out? Is that?
Yeah, we emailed that in the meeting packet. So
okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I don't think we have anything.
No,
no.
We're good. Thank you.
Yeah. So
Call out the fact that I really appreciate somebody who wears a necktie to the meeting. It makes me feel good. Next time I will.
Dress for success.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun to wear ties. I always call it tie Thursday at our office because Friday's so casual that you have to
Okay.
have so much contrast between Thursday and Friday. So
Wonderful. There's hope for America.
I wear a tie every day
Tie to the
too,
next
not
one.
to these.
So as far as the meeting cadence, just to recap those meetings, so it's February 13th, March 6th, March 27th. And on that March 27th meeting, we'll be looking for the approval from this group to submit that first report in order to get it in by April 4th. So that is a critical meeting. I do want to draw your attention to that. And then the next meeting would be April 10th, which we put on the books. That first community forum is targeted for the 28th of February, which we've talked about. We're currently envisioning the second forum as April 24th, kind of after the submission, but we can still dial that in and move it up before the submission based on the information that you guys are seeing. The school department is coming up with their plan of engagement with the public. So, you know, over the next 2 weeks, we'll really hone in on that public outward process and then come back to you with what we want to do with additional engagement of the public. And with that, Rich, I'll turn it back to you.
I'll tell you just one more thing before we go into the business stuff on minutes. We are also going to be the design team and their engineers and myself. We're going to be meeting John over at the school tomorrow just to kind of walk the building, get the lay of the land from an existing conditions perspective. So just wanted you to know that there's a lot of that going on starting tomorrow as well.
What time?
12:30 we're meeting at site.
Okay.
It's a half day at the school.
Yeah.
All right, then we'll bid you adieu, Charlie and
Rick?
Chris. Oh,
Can I
go
just
ahead.
ask one question, maybe it's not for these guys. You know, in terms of the ed plan development, and maybe it's a question for school folks. I assume that is considered not simply what goes on in the classroom, right? But it's the whole program, whether it's extracurricular, athletics, all that kind of
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Very thorough.
good.
Everything having to do with the operation of the school, even things that are extracurricular, after school programs, things like that.
Perfect. So I just want to make sure that we're doing that, even if the goal,
Yep.
even if potentially that's not covered by MSBA. I mean, we ought to have that plan.
Yep,
Good,
they're going
thank
to
you.
require that.
Okay.
Also
Good.
goes a step further from when you did the Clyde Brown, that they want you to explain how you're going to train staff to. If you're doing new initiatives, like the obvious is the STEM program that you did add in at Clyde Brown, but many school districts don't do that. So they want to make sure you're not only providing the physical space, but training the staff to deliver that change in education. And
Yeah.
so there will be portions of the ed plan that get into making sure there's a plan in place to have educators be able to use the space that you're asking for. So
Yeah.
there's many layers to that ed plan.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so unless there's any other questions, we're gonna bid Charlie and Chris adieu.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
guys.
Good night.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Kim, could you pull up the minutes so we could approve those?
Do you want the minutes or do you want to do invoices?
I will do invoices first.
Yeah, it's just the Vertex invoice. Vertex, do you guys want to comment on that, or do you want me to just put it up there and go for it?
You can just put up and go for it. So this is our first start of the, we jumped from the small couple of first invoices where we were just doing designer selection to now starting to do work. So this is a jump, and this is based on our schedule of values that we've laid out for the entire duration of the project.
All right.
So it's
So,
for $19,000.
yeah, so I make a motion to approve the amount of $19,000 for the invoice from Vertex. Looks like it's dated 12/03 through 12/31.
Second.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, it passed unanimously.
Okay.
Just one other item related to that too, because I think Jim had asked for it at the last meeting, which is including a project budget moving forward. And so we'll be sending you guys an invoice package as well. Kim and Rich get it, but we've now layered in your $1.3 million. We've added in the contracts that you've awarded to the OPM, the designer, and their reimbursables. What part of process with the MSBA is we have to transfer money within line items. So you'll see we have a transfer column here. We shift money from one line item to another just to rebalance the system, and then we enter that into their database. But the important note here is that you have essentially $175,000 of uncommitted funds that we'll then pick at over the course of the project. And some of this picks up other administrative costs that are already being incurred by the town, advertisements, salaries, things like that. So we will give you an update monthly with this, and so you'll have that information.
Sorry, there's salaries on this?
Just Kim's prorated portion of the effort to maintain the books for the project.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, we're free.
I realize that much, Rich.
What's Rich's salary?
Yeah.
Rich,
that was
I'll
the
give you
65.
100% raise. You can have 100% raise, Rich.
Same salary as I get. Imagine that.
All right.
Diane, you can have 100% raise too.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Kim, can we have those minutes, please?
Yep, the minutes are from December 20th. I
Okay.
don't know if you need them up there or not, but do you want to approve them or you want me to grab them?
No, that's fine. So I make a motion to, unless there were any comments or changes, I make a motion to approve the minutes of December 20th as noted. All in
Okay,
favor?
and Diane did give me a comment, so there's an amendment to it, but I don't think
Okay.
anybody, yeah, she clarified something for me, so.
Okay, that's
Even
fine.
though I wasn't there.
All right,
You
so then I
don't, you
make a-
don't have to actually be there to vote on
No,
them. You know that?
Just,
Yeah. You just have to acknowledge that you read them in order to vote on them.
yep,
All right, so I make a motion to vote to approve the December 20th meeting minutes as amended. Can I get a
Second.
second? All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great. All right, passed unanimously. All right, I think that's it for the school stuff. Everyone should take a look at all the dates that they passed out in the email to make sure that we, we're all available for those. If there's any conflicts, let us know. Other than that, I think we're in good shape.
Kim, don't we have another invoice for DPW or not?
No,
No.
that was last meeting. It was for
Oh,
the generator.
okay.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
all set.
That's the meeting you missed, Diane.
Yeah. Don't tell anybody.
Okay.
So, all right, so the school folks, I think we're all set if you guys want to leave us, and thank you for attending. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a good
everybody.
night.
Bye.
That was an efficient meeting. Good job, Rich. I'll see ya. Bye.
Bye.
So anyhow, so for us, the PBC, so I had a conversation with Diane. So I had a asbestos guy come look at the place. I had a mason come look at the place. Didn't get any proposals from either one of them. I've got another mason going over tomorrow
Oh, good.
to take a look at the just the repairs of the masonry. And we'll have to see. I'll have to get a different asbestos guy, but Jeremy, Diane had brought up a good point, not knowing what type of bandwidth you had. But if you could, I think if you and Diane could work together to help push this along, that'd be great since, John about a year ago was out in the snow taking a look at the roof for me. And we're still, kicking the
same
can down
place.
the road. Yeah, well, no, a little further. We get a proposal at least for the roof.
Yep. Do you
I
need
think-
somebody there tomorrow, Rich?
No, I can go down. I'm gonna go with him. So.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
great.
he's local. I just have to figure out how I get the key. Which I'll have to figure out first thing in the morning.
Do it before noon or,
I know they're gone.
yeah.
Right, I got it.
Friday is Friday, yes.
Yes, Friday is gone. Yeah.
If you,
So-
if you can't get there, give me a call. I'll go
Well,
down and get it.
I may, if you can run down and grab the key, that'd probably be helpful, because then I can
Okay.
figure that out.
Then I have to meet you.
Yeah, Karen, well, I can come to your house and pick it up.
No, I'm not sure I'll be there, but that's all right. We'll
Okay.
work it out.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. So
Yep.
anyhow, that happened. As you all saw, the generator went in. So that's good. So that's just about taken care of. And there was one other thing that Jim had brought up. There was an issue with some wiring issue that he had to deal with. One of the vendors actually had a stroke and is unable to do some of the work, so he had to get another person to do that work. So he'll get he's actually gonna go back to one of the original contractors that bid on it, get the additional 2 bids that he has to have, and then we'll take a look at it as a committee to get that work taken care of. So that'll be coming forwards.
This is on Lansing Millis?
No, this is on something to do with the DPW.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And other than that, we've been doing a lot of school stuff, but that's about all we have right now, so.
Okay. Yeah, Jeremy, once we get these quotes, there's a certain amount of documentation. It's not enormous. We can use the old study and the quotes and some narrative. And then we have to get that to Mike Kaczynski to get to the state. There's that bond bill sitting there with money for us.
Right, where they said they'll give us money, but the money doesn't exist yet.
Right.
Well, it
And yeah,
does exist. It does exist. It didn't get smoshed in the governor's take back.
Yeah, and because I reached out to Mike Kaczynski and that wasn't part of the clawback. So this is actually, we actually have the funds still. So that's sitting there. It's just, we need to get the information to them to be able to proceed forwards. So.
Okay,
Yeah, certainly. So Dan, yeah, let's touch base once we get proposals in, and yeah, I'm happy to pitch
Yep.
in and get this moving.
Yep.
and the next time I have the key, I'll call you and we'll find a time and you can go see the place.
Yeah.
Cool.
It would help.
And Jeremy, if you're if you have an asbestos guy, I brought my guy in, the problem being is, and it's probably the same problem you have, it was so small. It was like, 25 feet of pipe wrap. And I brought him down there and he said, yeah, I'll get back to you. Well, he's working at the State House right now. So they have a $200,000 contract and they're not going to come down to the town of Millis for $500. So that's my problem. So
Okay,
if you can think about that, that'd be helpful. So
certainly.
you'll
So
probably have the same
something-
problem I did.
Do you have another Mason, Rich?
Yeah, I'm gonna have him. We're gonna go down there tomorrow.
Okay, great.
Yeah, he has been around for, I don't know, 40, 50 years. So he's good. And he's interested in working on, he likes to do fun projects. So they did stuff at the Museum of Fine Arts. They actually did historical renovation to the MFA. So they're, but he got it. I explained to him, we're Millis, we don't have any money. So he gets it. So.
Tell him we'll give him $50.
Yeah. So. All right.
Okay.
Well, unless anyone has anything else, I think we're good. And we have our other meetings set, so we should be good for that. We don't have to set a meeting date.
Yep, February 13th, next meeting.
Right. So. Okay.
All right.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
And I just ask for one point of clarification.
Go ahead.
Can we, I guess, more clearly designate the actual PBC agenda when we get that sent out?
Meaning for what, the SBC and the PBC separated?
Well, the PBC, the SBC, we have a meeting note and we have an agenda.
Yeah. And well, for us, right now, the only thing we have outstanding would be the Lansing Millis.
Yeah, but we need to put an agenda together so the public knows we're going to talk about it.
Okay, fair enough.
We did do that last time. I didn't hear of any new agenda items for this time, so I should have asked and just put something on there to combine it, but you're right.
Yeah, we didn't really have anything going on, but that's fair enough. If we are going to end up doing something, when we get some momentum on them, we should make sure that people are aware of it.
how long have we been at this? 2 years?
Well, you don't
Maybe
want
more.
to.
Yeah, I was going to say 2 years, 20 years.
Yeah, but they still haven't rented it yet, Jim. So we're still ahead of the town.
Well, I'm sorry to say that I was here in 1999 when we closed the building, but fortunately we got a tenant, right?
Yeah.
But that I'm not sure that made it into
Maybe
this
fortunate,
century.
Maybe
Huh?
not.
Yeah. Anyway, never mind.
Okay,
All right. So I make a motion to adjourn.
All set? Yes,
All in
second?
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, everybody.
Th-
Night.
Thanks, everyone.
Fine.
Bye.
Thank you.